on the beat.
Welcome back to the Supercoach Take podcast. We're moving into round 14, probably the worst round in Supercoach history. I think it's going to be rough for a lot of people. Some people are we're just going to see a lot of movement in the ranks, I think, this week. We'll touch on that pretty soon, but we'll go over the agenda real quick. So we're going to start with how many we're all fielding. When should we finish our team? I think the big one is Jarman MP. What's going on there? What do we do? That's going to be an interesting one. We'll touch on, do we still want Neil and Dangerfield? Do we flip players in that last buy round? And then we'll go over some forwards that might be some interesting options, because we've already spoken about the mids. The forwards, I still think people have left the forwards to upgrade later on. Touch on rookies, captains, and we got a few questions coming in. So, joining me today, Enno, how are you, mate?
G'day, George. Very good, mate. Big week. I'm surprised you're here, to be honest. How many are you fielding this week? Is it 11 or something? 12? Nah.
How low can you go?
I think I'll just get to a decent amount of players this week. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be very rough. Looking at the rankings after this week, so hopefully we get by. And a few of the primos that we have there's only 5 games this week, so hopefully they can go large for us. I think captain's going to be pretty important this week as well, because there's not many good captaincy options. So besides, of course, the Dogs boys. So yep, hopefully we get all that right, and a bit to talk about here.
JD, what's going on?
G'day, boys. Yes, it's a make or break week, and I am ready to be broken by Supercoach.
If you're going to be broken, I'm going to be annihilated. See how that goes. But yeah, we have a lot to discuss this week. We'll get into by discussion, but first we want to give out a shout out to Babs in our Discord. Currently first. We're giving him the King's treatment at the moment. He wanted an anime channel in Supercoach if he won. We just gave it to him now, not that he's already won. I think Enno's going to give him...
I think that's a jinx, by the way, George.
No.
I think that's a big jinx you gave him. That old jinx. I wouldn't be surprised if he's out of the top 10 after this week, just based on that alone.
We'll blame George if he is anyway.
Yeah.
We're rooting for him anyway. It's a long way to go. But yeah, he's getting King's treatment at the moment, so he can have whatever he wants, do whatever he wants. But yeah, shout out to him. So fingers crossed that he does really well this year. But yeah, so we'll go into the buy round discussion. And I guess if you've watched my channel on YouTube, you would know that for weeks I've been dreading this week, a bit like a dentist appointment or whatever. I can't really avoid it this time though. So I'm going to be fielding best case 15. I have the option of fielding 17 if I use trades, but I need to save them for injury trades. And I'm going to cop it. I'm prepared to cop it. I think I'm ranked about 540. I'd be surprised if I'm in the top 1,500 next week. But yeah, especially it's because, if Josh Kelly goes berserk, if Tom Stewart goes berserk, it's going to be painful. I don't think I'll watch much football this week, but Enno, I'll start with Enno. How many are you fielding, and are you okay with how many you're fielding?
I'm surprisingly okay. So it's 15 before trades, and that is projecting that Newcomb, he will stay in the team, you would think, but Waterman is the one that hopefully does stay in as well. So that's 15. I didn't get Reeves last week like some did, and then after that laid out news, that was pretty unfortunate. But it's looking, I think there was a quote that he's tracking okay at training and should hopefully play this week. So look, if he does, I'll get him in. And so that'll be 16. And then I've got one upgrade to go. So hopefully another rookie pops up, because I will have to go down from Poulter. So praying a rookie comes up, and then look, if not, I'll just field 17, I think, and I'll be okay with that. I've reversed about 100 times already in the past day, looking at what's primos like in sideways, Clary, May, Short. I even still got Grundy looking at that, but I'm not sure it's going to be good for me, because I am at only 9 trades and I still do have 3 upgrades to go. So I don't want to end on, if I'm sidewaysing too many primos, I'm going to be left with 2 trades, maybe even 1, because one of the upgrades may cost you another trade. So I already did sideways really last week, which maybe I shouldn't have done in hindsight.
That was a good move. He's fake.
Well, I got Whitfield 70, and I could have just got Highmore's 111. So we'll see. Hopefully Whitfield has, he improves on that, and if Ridley fails, then I guess it maybe was a good trade. But yeah, so 15 before trades. I could get to 18 if I really wanted to, but I'm not sure how much I wanted to be sidewaysing primos. What are you looking like, JD, this week?
Yeah, I'm looking at 16 after one trade, so I've still got three more trades, and there's a couple of ways for me to get 18, but it's really going to be a delicate balance between how much I want to waste, trades or cull rookies early to get those extra points now, versus securing my team for the rest of the year. And I think I'm like going to really be looking to both of you today for advice on things like if I go from three trades left to two trades left, but it means getting extra points this week, should I do it? Those are the type of things I'm currently weighing up. And look, it's definitely going to be one of those weeks where team sheets on the Thursday are going to be super important, because whether or not we get rookie debuts that open up options, whether Callow or Edwards or Reeves get games, is going to be really big. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at the moment. So it's definitely 16, but it could be 18, depending on how aggressive I go.
So Edwards has the bye.
I'm
That's
talking
so
about
annoying.
Jacob
Yeah.
Edwards for North.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the forward.
Right
Okay.
forward, 102k.
Okay.
I just
Also
don't think
maybe
he's
Kello.
playing, but
I'm
yeah,
not sure
Kello's the
these
one.
guys are going to
Hopefully,
score much, but anyway, so yeah, it sounds like I guess some of you guys are doing okay. I guess I think the average I'm seeing is about 17. I'm seeing a lot of, maybe I'm just reading forums and people aren't posting if they're doing bad, but I think, and even Discord as well, it seems like most people are getting to 17 or 18. So it's just a matter of, I guess, I mean, for me, is my priority is looking after the team long term. I'll cop a donut if that means I get the premiums I want for the run home. So how many, we spoke about this last week, but this has kind of changed a bit because now MP's become a problem. So how many trades do we have left with a final team? So I was planning for 4, then it turned into 3 with, I can't remember, something happened. And then it's gone down to 2 because I'm planning on trading Impy. I feel very uncomfortable with 2. I think 1 is borderline suicide, considering most of us have like Whitfield. I don't fully trust in terms of his durability. I'm looking at Toby Green. We'll speak about that after. Maybe I'm just losing the plot there, given my low trade situation. But I wouldn't go down to 1. I think 2 is bare minimum. I think 3 is not great, but still okay. I think 4 is what you want. And how many trades are you going to have left, and how many do you think we should have left?
so because I did that Ridley to Whitfield sideways, it's 9 now. So it was going to be 10 with still 3 upgrades left, and so probably would have been, you would say 3 because maybe 1 upgrade cost you 3 instead of 2. So it's going to be 3 trades left with a full team. Now it's going to be probably 2. So that's why I can't even really look at sideways in primos as much as it's nice to probably get 18 and get points this week. It's probably not the smart thing to do. So it's going to be 2 for me. So yeah, if I go any less than that, like you said, it's just opening yourself up for danger, because as much as we don't like injuries, they're a part of sport. So they're going to happen down the back end, and you just can't be left with a donut or fielding a rookie, or maybe these rookies don't play at the season. Relying on Bianco maybe as a swing man, and he had a pretty poor game on the weekend. So don't even know what his sort of future like. You think you still get games pumped into him, but yeah, those things are uncertain. So it's looking like 2 trades for me with a full team, which is still pretty risky in itself. So how are you looking, JD?
Yeah, as I mentioned, this is kind of like what I'm weighing up. Do I want extra points this round and finish on 2, or do I play it a week or 2 slower and finish on 3? And I think like a decent rule of thumb is that when you have a finished team, you probably need 1 injury trade for every 3 weeks. So after this round, we'd have 9 more rounds to go, which would mean that you'd need 3 trades. So yeah, I think 2 is quite risky, especially given that we're running players like Hall, Zeeble. If you hold him MP, Whitfield hasn't got great injury history. Other trade targets this week, such as Green, obviously is a bit injury prone. Grundy is coming off an injury as well. So I think it's like quite risky to finish with 2. But it could, obviously it could pay off, right? Like if you bank extra points now and these injuries don't come through, then you're laughing.
Yep, I still think we hold short-term injuries even with extra trades left, unless there's like 2-3 weeks to go. But for the next 6 weeks, if I don't know if
2 or 3 weeker.
Yeah, I'll hold. I think I have to. Later during the season, if I still have those 2 injury trades, I'll probably use them. But I guess you never know. It could fall apart in 1 week. We could be fine for 5 weeks. You just don't know. So I think with this year, I think the only long-term injury I've had personally is I think Dunkley. Everyone else I've held through. I've held through Guthrie, held through Brayshaw. I got rid of Bose, but it's different. Didn't think he was premium anymore, but that's another story. So I think, yeah, long-term injuries don't happen super often, especially a lot of our players are durable, but we have the odd ones with some history. So I think consensus with us is you'd probably want 3 minimum. 2 you might be able to get away with, but no less than that. Now, Jarman Impey. This is very problematic because it's come at the worst possible time because we can hold him through this round, because a lot of us are going to need him, but he's probably going to projected to drop 30k if he scores 70, according to the Supercoach app. So I am trading him this week, and I think with Impey, this is in terms of whether we trade or hold, it completely depends on everyone in everyone's situation. But firstly, before we say whether we trade or hold this week or in the future, what is Impey going to average for the rest of the year? I have no idea. And this is why I traded Caleb Daniel. As soon as I saw Caleb Daniel's role being changed, I dipped and I said, I don't know what he's going to average. I fear the downside. I'm out. So with Impey, I fear the downside. I'm not sure what it is. I know they've got Will Day coming back. They have a lot of outlets in defense. I'm just not sure what's going on. And I saw him play on Heaney for quite a while, and that whenever someone plays on Heaney, they're probably not doing a lot of rebounding. So, yeah, what do you guys think of Impey? I think it could be in the 70s. I think it could be in the 80s, but it's easy to forget. He was a gun. He was F2 for the first 8-9 weeks or something. So it's a really confusing one. But yeah, what do you guys think, Anno?
For me, well, in my situation, first, if I'm trading a primo or one that's priced that way, it's not going to be a guy that is playing this week. I know the dropping cash is a bit scary, especially if this scoring continues. But last week, I'm sort of writing that off because first half he was thrown in the midfield, and that was just a bit weird and probably not his usual role. This week he still did play half back. He just didn't get a lot of the ball. Like you said, when you're playing on Heaney, we saw it with Ridley and others. They just don't get a lot of the ball because they're worried about manning him up because he's so dangerous. So I still have hope that he can turn around. Not 95 as like we probably expected, but 85 is probably still enough for me to sit at F6 for the rest of the year. And if it looks like that way, then I'll probably trade him in maybe 1 or 2 weeks down the track. I know it's going to be worse. He'll be like under 400k. But then I'll just have to go to like a cheap option one so we might speak about later. So I want to give him another week or two and see how he goes because he still was playing on halfback on the weekend. So yeah, his touches was down. He only got 12. That's his lowest for the year. But every other, besides last week, before that, the whole season, he was 20 plus. So I think he can get back to that. I don't see why that would change. I know that Will Day, Giath and sort of Scrimshaw sort of come out of not nowhere, but he's getting a lot more of the ball lately. It's probably hurt him a bit, but I still have hope he can turn around to, somewhere in the 80s average. It's definitely not going to be like 60s, 70s for me for the rest of the year. So, I mean, that's what I think, probably mostly because I can't really afford to trade him right now. So that's probably what I'll be doing. JD, do you have any thoughts on Impey and his role?
Yeah, I think I'd place him around the 80 average. I mean, I'm pretty worried about what Will Day does mean. But I think between like Scrimshaw, Day, and Giath, they have enough defenders that can distribute the ball well out of defense that Impey isn't going to get relied on nearly as much as what we saw through those opening games. So I think even if he, maintains a halfback role, which he probably should, I just don't see the big scores coming anymore, and you are going to have down games like this where he can run hard and ask for the handball receive, but the reality is they've got other options now. He's not the primary target, and we've seen this in a few defenders this year where once they're no longer the go-to anymore, their scoring drops off. So Caleb Daniel at the start of the year was a decent example of that. Ridley's another example, which is hurting our teams at the moment as well. So I think that's where we're at the moment. Impey, which is he's just going to fall back to the pack, 80 average. But I must say, us Supercoaches are a very overreactionary bunch. That's probably also his worst game for the year that we just had. So I wouldn't expect another score under 50s from him.
I'm not sure. It's so hard because for my situation, I can't afford for him to drop in price. It means I have to go down to like a Jeremy Cameron upgrade. I can't sit through that. I don't have the nerves to sit through that. Yeah, it's basically means I have to spend an extra trade on an upgrade or a premium I'm not happy with. So for that reason, even though, and another thing with like this is why I said it's person by person. If I wait a week, like I can't do anything else with my trades anyway if I'm not upgrading MP. So I just have the money there. I have the trade there. I'm not flipping any players because I want to keep those trades. So I think he has to go eventually. But yeah, he could very well bounce back and give you 80, and that's not the worst for an F6. Not great, but could even loop him with CCJ for the year if you can do that. If you don't want to trade, if you can't afford to. For me, I'm trading him this week. I can't afford the drop in price, but I think if you can afford the drop in price, I think you hold for a week. It's simple as that, really. And then also you get to assess that for another week. You might come out and drop a ton next week, who knows. But yeah, as you said, JD, there's just he wasn't getting the Hemble receives as much. He was playing a little bit deeper at times, and they pretty much gave all the receives to CJ and Scrimshaw. So might be some weeks that he's used more. It might be some weeks he's used less. But yeah, I'm super worried about this pick. But yeah, I'm dipping. So I think that's enough on MP. Anything else to add?
No, not for me.
Crack on.
Okay. So next topic is Lachie Neale and Patrick Dangerfield. Do we still want these players? I guess we I'm not sure much changes. I think we knew they would start slow. We spoke about Neale last week. Dangerfield didn't look particularly great apart from the first quarter. First quarter he was on about, I think, nearly 35 at quarter time. Was playing really well. Didn't do a whole lot. Managed time on ground. I've said this all season, or the past few weeks with Neale and Dangerfield. We need to watch them ramp up, but you have to remember they had no preseason, been injured. Some players been injured more than once. They've both had two different issues for this year. I think Neale might have had three even. The calf back and syndesmosis. So it's like he's missed a lot of football. He's missed a lot of, training as well. So I'm still, and especially like Neale, we were saying before on the podcast, there's currently 8 midfielders above 115 at the moment. And like that's not including Sam Walsh, who's 114, and Merritt, who's pretty close as well. So I don't know if I want to pick these plays, especially this week. And I guess Danger's going to be 500k, and the expectations are a bit lower for the forward line. But I would rather pick someone who's had a great preseason and been playing throughout the year, and who's been training throughout the year over Lachie Neale. I guess it is Lachie Neale. He's Lachie Neale. He's a great player. Well, that's an understatement, especially for Supercoach. So I am not interested in either of these players. I think there's a little bit of hysteria about you got to get Danger, you got to wait for Danger. I don't know. Not for me, I don't think. Especially because I have to wait as well, which is a bit annoying. Whereas it just doesn't work out for me. But I don't really fear. I'm sure he's going to be a great pick, but I don't really fear not having him. JD, what do you think of Neale or Danger? Are you getting one or both or none, or do you have to grab them, or what do you think?
My plan has been to get both. I don't think you have to get either of them, and I think the reason why is kind of what you've outlined, George, is the downside scenario where they are both coming off injuries, and I'm predicting that they get back to their best, and Neale can go on a 120 to 130 stretch, and Danger can go on a 110 to like 120 stretch. But the reality is that might need 3, 4, 5 weeks for that to happen. And even if they do then eventually get on that stretch, it kind of doesn't matter because they've been scoring poorly for so long that anyone that went any other option ends up ahead. So I'm obviously going to predict that they're going to do that earlier. I just think they're both really great value for what their price is, especially Danger next week is going to be the low 500s. And given he's been effectively the top forward or top mid for the last 8 years in Supercoach, and generally has been very durable, I think he is a very good get. If he was already 515 this week, I don't think it'd even be a question. I think he'd be the number one target over everyone else. It's just because we kind of have to wait another week for his price to drop that people are overlooking him. And I think Neil is a little bit the same boat. Like if Neil had turned up last week, I think he'd be the top target for everyone. But because he did have that slow game back, he's being overlooked a little bit. I don't think people are considering Neil in the same category as Josh Kelly, as Parrish, as those types. But I think that he's just as good a chance as they have of averaging 120 on the run home. So yes, that's a very long way of saying I like both of them. I'm going to try and get both of them if I can.
Danger's not going 120. I don't see that. He hasn't done that for like 3 years. I suppose you mean only
for a stretch.
Like 6 weeks.
I don't think he's going to do it for the whole back half of the season, but I think he could have a purple patch where he does something like that.
I always I always wonder, whenever a player hits 30, 31, I wonder if the cliff is there, if they're like near the cliff or...
Yeah, you can't start him next year. There's just no way. Dusty's the same. Can't start him next year. I definitely believe that once they're over 30, that cliff approaches. And you do have people that buck the trend, obviously, like Tex Walker this year, Travis Boak last couple of years. But finding those needle in a haystack is just so hard.
Are you looking at Neil or Danger or both or none?
I'm definitely looking, they're definitely options for me, but like you say, Jules, I just sort of prefer the guys that have been playing and playing well. Like, I know I don't want to speak on Jelly, but it's the same price as Neil. Who would you prefer?
Neil or Jelly?
Yeah.
Probably Jelly.
I don't know, Jelly's going to say Neil only because he's had Jelly earlier in the season, but I think I would want...
Rationally, I think the answer is Josh Kelly.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Emotionally, I only understand I'd probably delete YouTube and Twitter if I brought in Josh Kelly and he got injured or moved to half forward that week. I wouldn't be able to finish the year for Supercoach. I just can't. The downside risk is too big to my personal life.
That's totally fair. Brisbane's run is very good, and the fact they have North this week, you sort of would want him for that game, but he does have like 160 break even, so you can get a look at him and see how he goes after the bye, which should be good for him. So, I mean, Neil's the one I'm more scared of not going than Danger, I think, for me, because I know Danger has the massive history of, year upon year, but he came in injured, he got injured again, been out for so long. I think they're sort of just going to manage him through this period to get to the finals and obviously have another tilt at getting that flag. So Neil's probably more the one that, is in his prime. He did it last year. He's totally capable of going, like you said, 120 plus. He'd be the one that I'd be more keen on. So he's probably the one I'm more looking at as my last mid over getting Danger. But look, if Danger drops not a couple of bad games, but he might be below 500k in 2 weeks, and then has a good game, or then you look at him. But that's probably the only outcome to where I would get Danger.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's just uncertainty about how they actually score coming off major injuries and no preseason for me. I'm happy to fade both, but we'll see. But yeah, I do like Neil a bit more than Danger. But yeah. Okay, the next topic is flipping by players to get to 17, 18, whatever amount of players. So we have 4 names. We have Jaden Short, Stephen May, Andrew Brayshaw, and 1 Isaac Heaney. I think we can knock out Heaney real quick. So when I so disappointed, I nearly got baited into this pick, but basically what's happened, he's injured right now. We knew he's injured, but he wasn't playing like he was injured. Now he's playing like he's injured. It's 100% certainty. You can just see it. He was even limping in one of the games. I think you flip Heaney. However, I think there's a chance that you can hold him because with a break, it's kind of probably what he needs. And if you're buying Heaney as a keeper, You were buying him because you knew he might miss a game here or there, but you bought him because he was 350 or 400k or whatever, and he's going to score well if he plays. Unfortunately, he kind of lost that role. So now it's like, well, is he going to... Like, they threw him back in defense a little bit as well the last 2 games. So he's not playing that high half forward role, that +1 at stoppages role anymore. So I don't know if he reverts back to that off a buy. So now this pick has just become one big fat headache. So I think you can hold if you want. I would definitely trade if you can though. I'd only be holding if you're like you just can't afford to. Because I still think there's a chance he comes back and scores. But I think this pick is probably, we knew if you bought him, you knew it was going to be a slight headache. But now I think you now know it's going to be a major headache. So if you guys had Heaney, would you trade JD?
Sorry, how long did you spend talking about Heaney? It was about 3 minutes too long. I think if you got him because you desperately needed a cheap option at F6, you have to keep him. You can't sideways. You already made that decision. If you're just using him to get some cash and flip him, now's the time to flip him. Just get rid of him. It's as simple as that for me.
Okay. Eno, same.
Yeah, I'll just be getting rid of him. Yeah, I don't think I could deal with an injured guy that probably could just drop 50s for the rest of the year. It's just going to absolutely kill you. If you're in a luxury sort of position to do another upgrade and get him to F7, then yeah, but I don't know how many people are in that sort of position. Like if you're really high ranked and well off and you went him for whatever reason because you like him and you have extra trades, then yeah, loop him with Impy for the rest of the year. But I don't think a lot of people that actually went him were in that position. So yeah, for me, he'd be gone.
So I guess just like one question then. If you have both Impy and Heaney, who are you getting rid of?
Yeah, Heaney.
Cool. I think that's probably the answer to especially with the buys.
So Short, May, and Brayshaw. Okay, so go Short and May. So the answer between trading Short and May is Ridley. They will score more points than Ridley, even off with an extra round of Ridley. That's me personally. But I think the thing is, if I had May, Brayshaw, and Short, which I do have, I was planning on trading Brayshaw until Impy went down. I would be trading Brayshaw before Short and May because I think Short and May are pretty close to top 6, whereas I think Brayshaw is probably going to be 10 points off. But just for argument's sake, if you had to pick one of Short or May, who would you pick, Eno?
It's so tough because I've looked at doing it, but I like them all. Like Shorty's fine, May's getting a lot of kickouts. Like I don't know, the stats haven't come out yet, but he's probably got 10 or something on the weekend. So he's taken all of them. He's fine, and then plus he gets those intercept points and spoils and whatnot. So and Brayshaw's to me fine as well. I know it was annoying that game on the weekend that he 120 Dream Team and 90 Supercoach, but he gets plenty of the pill every week he plays. I know his TOG's not what we want it to be, but he still gets 25, 30 every week, and without 5 for a couple more and some good fixtures, he'll be fine. So, like, if I had to choose one, it's really hard. I think it's probably Shorty, but that would just pain me to do that. So I've looked at doing it, but I'm not trading any of them anyway. I think just holding, they're perfectly fine premiums to me for the rest of the year. So, yeah, I'm holding them all. But if I had to pick,
you can't say Short.
No, I'm actually upset I didn't even say that, even though I'm not doing it. And obviously, he's like my favorite player. But nah, yeah, it's really hard. I'm holding them all for what it's worth.
So out of these 3, JD, who would you be looking to trade if you had to pick one?
So I think for me, like there's very few blessed people that are in the position that can luxury upgrade one of these 3. I think for me, what you need to do is look at who you could reasonably upgrade to. So if it's May or Shorty to Mills, for example, next week, or it's like Brayshaw to Parrish, where do you think you're getting more points per week? Because I think that would decide it. For me, it wouldn't be so much more about which one of these you need to get rid of, because I don't think any of them are terrible, right? Like Brayshaw is going to be a M10 to 20, and May and Short are probably going to be somewhere like the D8 to 15 range. So they're all going to be sitting, I think, just outside what the top premiums are scoring. So for me, it more comes down to like who you're actually getting into your side. Like, I'm sure you'd rather do Brayshaw to Bont than like Short to Mills. or Maida Mills. And if that's the case, then like I think that's where you'd look at. So for me, it's not so much around which one do you want to get rid of. It's more who could you get in by getting rid of them, and whichever one's going to net you more points the rest of the year, that's the trade I'd do.
Yeah.
Who would that be then? If you were to think, if it is the hypotheticals, probably Brayshaw out for like a top mid. Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's.
It's probably the bigger difference.
I think it's if you can, it's Brayshaw to Kelly.
Something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm holding all of them. If I had the choice, I would be doing Brayshaw, and I cannot trade Shaw and May and hold Ridley. I don't care if they have the buy. I couldn't do that. No way. We'll move on to the forward line.
Just quickly, George, I think, Baps is doing Brayshaw to a mid of some sort. So, but he has a luxury to do that. So,
are we giving spoilers out now, are we?
No, that's a smoke screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Forward line. So we're going to skip defender upgrades because I guess if you want to flip one, it's probably to Houston or Stewart, depending on money-wise. Houston, I still feel a little bit uncomfortable with, but you actually get money going down to him. But onto the forward upgrades. There's two names I have here. I'm getting in both this week. One is Kyle Langford. So I think we spoke about him last week. Not really much more to add other than he's got the midfield role. There are a few names that could take his mid time, but I feel like I don't think Dev Smith's he doesn't spend full time mid minutes anyway, especially coming off injury. I'm not sure. I think he manages his knee throughout his career, so I'm not sure he actually physically can. Stringer doesn't have the tank to play full time mid. They have like a rookie player who I'm not sure is even ready yet from the rookie draft that can play mid. And Shield might actually come back in like a month or so. I'm not even sure, but even Shield was being used at half forward, so I feel like Langford's very important to their starting midfield, and he's played very well there. So I'm looking at Langford. Any issues with Langford, NO or NO? Is he one you're looking at?
Yeah, no, I like Langford. I've looked at getting him this week over Jelly. Just depends who I want to go first, but I think Jelly's probably going up more than Langford. But no, he's looked really good the last 3 weeks, and yeah, full mid roll with Andy out, unfortunately, for the rest of the year or pretty much most of it. So I think he's fine. I mean, you've been talking about him for a few weeks. I don't think you're getting him this week, but I think he'll be a fine pick for the rest of the year with the mid roll. It might not be 100 plus like it has for the last 3 weeks, but I think he can average somewhere in the 90s with it. So that's perfectly fine for the rest of the year in your 6 forwards.
I think there's upside with Langford as well, but also like the floor is probably 80 playing wing, which is like not the worst, but still I am pretty much expecting to play full-time mid, where he just runs through the middle of the ground the whole game and just racks up disposals. JD, are you looking at Langford?
I am looking at Langford, so I've got 2 forward spots, and I think it's going to be Danger and one of Langford or the next forward that we will speak about. I think, anytime you're taking someone that's been shifted to a new role in the middle of the season, like there is some risk that role doesn't persist for the rest of the year. I think the good thing for Langford is with McGrath out long term, Shield and Caldwell out still long term, while Shield's more medium term now. There doesn't seem to be much competition to come push him out unless they want to, rotate Stringer through the midfield or finally deliver on that promise of getting Alec Waterman some CBAs. But yeah, I mean, I think you as you pointed out, George, the worst case scenario is that maybe only gets this role for a few more rounds and then gets pushed back out to a mid, and he's kind of mid worst case is about 80, and I think that's where I'm projecting Impey at the moment. So, if you're thinking of sidewaying out Impey, then Langford seems like a reasonable target.
Yep, I like Langford, so I'll be going him. The next player I have, just quickly on Langford, I'd probably rather go Dale or Shea. I know Shea's a bad buy, but I'd rather these guys. They're a bit safer. But money's a big factor as well. 470, some people might not be able. Even I'd probably take Tom Hawkins as well. But again, these guys are like 520 now, so it's a bit hard. The next player we have is one Tobias Green. Now, I've always hated this pick as a starting pick, and it's pretty obvious as to why. But on the run home, I like it. Probably could have scored 150 on the weekend if he kicked a few more. If he kicked straight. I'm I am going all in on Toby Green. I think the upside is there. I think his average is about 95 this year, including a game where he hit a sore shoulder for a bit of it. And the Giants' fixture is a joke. So I am in on Toby Green. He gets a little bit of mid-time, but for the most part, he can still score as a forward, which he has this year at 95 average. So takes contested marks, kicks goals, fun to watch. Probably going to punch someone in the head, miss a week. But I am going to risk it. I think when Guthrie was laid out, I still care about Supercoach, but my attitude changed to full send sort of thing.
The rulebook's gone, mate. The George rulebook has been ripped up.
Oh, that's why I've probably fallen in the ranks. Other than a few injuries, it's like at this point, as I said in my video, I see Josh Kelly and Danaher play every game. I don't care about durability anymore. With 9 rounds to go anyway. But Green is a bit of a worry with durability though. But he had a full preseason unlike previous years, so that's the main selling point. What do you think of Toby Green as a pick?
I think again, like Langford, he's perfectly fine to average sort of somewhere in the 90 range. He's done it before. It obviously comes a different way down in the forward line, but even this year up until this point, it's been pretty good. Some high scores, some low scores like 80s, but it sort of always comes around and meets sort of somewhere in the 90s. So I think he's fine. It's just, like you said, the durability is a slight risk. He's already missed a couple of games this year. And then I don't think he's been suspended for a while now. So that's probably not as much as an issue. He's sort of taken on the captaincy role as well this year. So maybe he's matured a bit in that area. So that's probably not more of a worry for me anymore. But yeah, as far as a pick and scoring wise, I think you'll be fine down the stretch. And yeah, I think what's attracting you is just like Jelly, the next few weeks of fixtures.
Yeah. JD, what do you think of the ticket, Toby Green?
Oh, the ticket. There's been many tickets. And I mean, if he wants to sit next to the true ticket of the forward line, then so be it. So my thoughts with Green are that he obviously is like a key forward or key small forward, and so you do expect some inconsistency with their scoring, some up and down. Now Toby Green mitigates that a fair bit by actually being able to move up the ground into the midfield at times, which does help his floor a little bit, and their schedule on the run home is really good. So all these things to me seem to point to like Toby being able to average somewhere between 90 and 95 most likely, with upside and downside either side of that for the rest of the year. At his price, I think that's really good value. It's just once again concerns about injuries, about suspensions, all the same stuff for Toby Green. So it's for me, I'm probably only picking one of him or Langford, and so what I'm curious to hear from you two is which one would you go and why?
Probably Langford. I think if the durability was switched, it would be Green, but I feel safer with Langford.
Yeah, I think Langford's a safer pick. Green could easily average 100 plus from here with a few big games and outdo him, but I think for safety, it's Langford in that role as opposed to Green. But I think they're both pretty decent options. The forward landscape sort of not died a bit, but there's just a few options in that range and not any high end ones anymore. Like I know Zorko and Hall are sort of clear top two. But yeah, in that range, I don't think you can go too wrong. You just obviously want them to play every game and not have to worry about injury trades or anything. So probably Langford just for that little bit more safety, I think, JD.
So who are you going then, JD?
My default is Langford, but anytime I need a little bit more cash to do my trades, I put Toby Green back in. So I think it's quite a close call at the moment, but I would rather roll the dice on Langford just because I don't have to worry about injuries and stuff as much. So, yeah.
And he's a bomber, man. Just quickly, JD, on with Shield, how long away is he?
Let me bring that up. I thought...
Because the annoying thing with him, he can really only play mid, can he? So Langford probably gets shoved to that fourth mid again, which is annoying, but...
So this is it's 2 to 3 weeks. It's listed on the AFL site now. So he's actually, and that was updated today. So
because he's just so one-dimensional, isn't he? Like, pretty much purely inside mid.
You can have him play like more wing role, but the biggest issue with Shields being his kicking. And you look at someone like Langford, who's probably a slightly better kick and better overhead mark, good running, and obviously isn't coming off an injury. It seems to make more sense that you'd put him back on the wing.
Yeah.
So I think that is the risk with Langford, that Shield comes back and they look to put him straight back in the midfield. But with that said, right, like Langford had this role before McGrath went down.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yep.
So he could still be playing the fourth, which I think is reasonably. Maybe he's the third mid for 2 to 3 weeks, and then moves out to the fourth, depending on how good Shield is when he returns. Yeah.
So would you rather put these in order? Dangerfield, Green, Langford. Go, JD.
Considering price as well.
Yep.
So it'll be Dangerfield next week, and then Langford, then Green.
Okay,
I think Langford's still number one for me. I think honestly Green's probably second and Danger last, because I just have to see it from Danger. And you probably got to wait 2 weeks for him to get anywhere near what these guys are priced at. So
you have to see it from Danger. You've seen it for the better part of a decade. Come on.
But how recently have we?
What do you mean? Last year. It went 114 last year for 17 games. Played the full year.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. It's been 10 months.
Oh, it's been 10 months. Give me a break. You've seen 3 games from Langford, and that outdoes years of Dangerfield track record. Oh, come on, mate.
No, it doesn't outdo it. It's just for 6 weeks. That's the issue. You're probably getting in danger before you see a turnaround in form and how he goes, So that's just the risk. Perfectly fine to take that risk because he's got, like you said, 10 years of history. But, yeah, I mean, it's just how risky you want to play this game, which is probably, for me, I don't really care anymore. So maybe it is Danger, but, yeah.
Well, at least with these two plays, I don't know if they're going to manage Danger's time on ground for the rest of the year or not. So I think that's possible. They'll probably sit on the bench if they are up. That's probably reaching there, but
this might be reach too. Yeah, go George. Sorry,
I don't feel comfortable with Dangerfield. I think it's one where you just wait for the turnaround, and it could be a month, it could be a week. So I'm not playing the waiting game. I'm getting the player now, and then whatever happens. Go on, Enno.
Does he have to carry anymore was going to be what I was going to say.
No, he doesn't. No.
That's the thing. He did have to for a couple of years there at Geelong.
Probably not last year, but every year before, I think he did.
Yeah, probably not last year, but last year scoring, I don't know. It is a bit subjective.
Yeah.
But now they've got 3 key forwards playing unreal. They got a couple of older guys, Smith and Higgins, come in. I know Higgins not the best form, but they're just a lot of guys, Guthrie career form at the moment. So maybe he just doesn't have to carry as hard anymore. And young kids coming up as well, Parfitt and Narkle when he's playing. So he just doesn't have to hard carry him anymore to win. So maybe they can sort of just manage him. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't know what JD thinks on that, but yeah.
Okay, we can move on, I think. We'll go to just touch on these 2 picks. Not much to discuss, but if you are down bad and you need a 300 to 330k player, Nick Haynes is playing the role he played last year at the moment. 3-round average, I think he scored, was an 80, he scored a 50 odd, but he had a lot of clangers that game. So it was like a 70 or 80 dream team, then 120 on the weekend. So I think you're good for an average in the 80s, possibly upside low 90s. I think more realistically like 85, possibly from Nick Haynes based on last year in the role at the moment. And he's only 330k, so he's one you could look at in defense. Harry Mackay said on the news tonight that his shoulder is feeling much better. I don't know if that means 100%, but he said it's feeling much better off the break. He's very cheap. I think he's like 320, 330, something like that. I can't remember. So I think they're options for that price. Obviously, not for me because I'm not in that position. Could be in that position if I get a few injuries next week. But other than that, more than happy to let these picks slide. But I think they're the best picks at that 300 range, just in case you need to go for a play in that price range.
I can throw in a few more to consider. So, Connor Rozee had the
No.
126 on the weekend.
Ew, no.
Obviously, that was off the back of big, 4 or 5 goal effort, so probably not. Jordan De Goey is another one I've seen
He's
be
out.
brought up a bit. 370k, 115. Who knows what's going to happen when Harvey takes the wheel? And
He just got suspended. That's the only issue.
did he?
Yeah.
Did he just cop it? Okay, very good.
Oh, I'm not
Move
sure,
on.
but he did get the week. But yeah.
Yeah, and then CJ, he keeps popping up. He's 374k, 112 on the weekend. Obviously had another good game. Essen this weekend, but I would avoid him too. So, yeah, I think those are basically all the kind of 300-ish K options. But yeah, I mean, I'd be avoiding them all like the plague. I don't think any of these pan out well for you.
I think it's just McKay. If you're super down bad, I think is the one. Just because he sort of did it. He's done it all right all year in sort of the 80s. But yeah, I mean, he just signed the contract extension today, which is good to see for Carlton. But yeah, the injury worries do sort of, they'd sit over your head.
Yep.
We'll move on to rookies. Have some bad news. Leicester is ruled out this week.
No.
Madden luck bots.
Madden's come back.
Well, possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, Madden's come back. Very frustrating, but that's okay.
We sure? Because isn't like Answorth and Jack Payne back this week as well?
No, not sure, but probably expected after the loss. And I don't know, inject a bit of speed is the talk, but no, we're not sure yet. George is pessimistic. George coming out in true fashion.
This is the round to be pessimistic, I must say.
No, it's very
doom and gloom.
Well, there was like some media article crying.
Yeah, I know, but media still don't know everything in house. So
Okay.
Anyway, it's probably a better chance than not, I would say.
Yeah, so we can go through some possible rookies this week. So Josh Worrell, pumped him up, scored 13 next. I didn't see him the whole game. I don't know what happened.
Bench.
I saw him a couple of times, just enough to know he's got the worst haircut in the AFL, and it's not even close between him and second. I swear to God, he must have had his hair cut in the dark. That boy has got problems.
Yeah, hopefully that was probably the only thing worse than his performance. So Luke Edwards, this looks like a great one. Really clean with the ball, played midfield role. I think he still plays with the West Coast mids coming back. I think you got to play him. He just was too good. What do you have? 11 disposals in the last quarter. Unfortunately, has a bye this week. If there are no rookies at all and you need a downgrade target, I would go to Edwards, 117k in the midfield. I'd prefer playing one this week to get the extra points. And now that we have Newcombe in the midfield, I'm not sure we actually need Edwards at all. But I guess he's one that will play probably. The Fremantle guys, I don't really see any point of going these guys over a Edwards. And then there's the potential rookies. So I think this was a Honeyball article this week, but that from what I read, and I also realized that you can download the VFL app. It gives you all the stats. So I've actually been looking at that. So Briggs was pretty good, one of the best on ground, had a lot of clearances, played ruck. Mumford played bad. Do they play Flynn and Briggs this week over Mumford? I don't know. It's possible, but I'm not sure. Given, Briggs had a great game, Mumford not so great. Garcia might come back for the Dogs, given he was only out because of a concussion. Don't know, but it's possible. Big game against the Dogs, so I'm not too sure. Against Geelong, sorry, so not sure. Jeffries from Gold Coast, 190 centimetre tall forward, kicked the winner in the VFL, kicked 3 goals, been in good form. Ben King didn't get suspended, so he was reported but didn't get suspended. So it could have almost been a sure thing if King was suspended, but he's one where 102 defender, but playing forward. So fingers crossed. I don't think he will score much, though. It sounds like a 45 to 50 average, but I'll take the points this week if he can kick a few goals. That's even if he plays. And one more is one guy I really loved in the preseason, but obviously he did his ACL, Elijah Hollins. Not a super high accumulator, but really special talent, I think. Can do a lot of special things with the ball. But yeah, can't wait to see him debut. He's available. I don't know if he plays AFL. So if we get a rookie this week that's playing, and you don't know about their job security, do we just downgrade to them and we need a downgrade option? So say Briggs is named JD. Do you bring in Briggs, for example, or Jeffries or whoever?
Yeah, so for me, it's pretty simple. I don't care about job security. I already have enough rookies that have good job security that'll continue to get games. It'll be bench cover. So for me, I will take any playing rookie this week, and if I can't find them, I'll just look for 1 or 2K loopholes that suit my structure. I'm not even sure if I want to get like a Luke Edwards because while he's scored pretty well, I don't think I'll ever cash him in, and I'm not sure I'm going to need him as like rookie cover. So yeah, it's just anyone that plays games, any warm bodies, they'll be considered as for rookies this week as long as they're priced cheaply. Like someone like Elijah Hollins, for example, who's up at the 180k range. While I agree with your sentiment that he's a very special talent, I'm looking forward to seeing him play. I wouldn't bring him in, but yeah, anyone at that 123k or less that gets named, I'll be looking to bring in, maybe even someone like a Riley Garcia that only scored 7 before getting concussed. Anyone like that I'd consider bringing in.
Yep. Anything to add, Eno?
Yep, same with JD really, just to get that extra play instead of downgrading to someone that's not playing. But I think if absolutely no one is playing, I will get Edwards just because you never know with injuries down the track. You might need him for a spot start one week. I know that's worst case scenario, but yeah, probably get him just because he did look really good on the weekend. But again, I don't think he does stay in with Kelly and Shuey coming back, but that's another story. So yeah, get the playing ones. I don't care what's going on. Just to get 18 players. So yeah, that's my view.
I guess I do feel like Edwards is kind of useless for me, but at least he's 117, not 123. We actually need that. But if a midfielder goes down for a week, we could loop Edwards and Newcomb possibly.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I guess maybe that works, but who knows? And then Hollins, I don't think we can pay up for that. But yeah, coming off ACL, not expecting too much. Probably shove him forward. But I think we can move on to captains. I literally have no captain options this week. Might as well straight see McRae. But I think there's a lot of, if you have a Josh Kelly, if you have a Brisbane, if you have a Jared Lyons, Darcy Parish, maybe even Zach Merritt, Sam Walsh, assuming De Boer's out just in case. Took Miller, a lot of these guys are poddish players, some of them anyway. So I'm going vice captain McRae. And I don't really have a captain option. I'm looking at either Merritt or Aaron Hall. So, yeah, I'm probably going to lock in a 110 from McRae, to be honest. What are you thinking, Eno?
I think McRae into Merritt's fine. I do have Titch as well as a captaincy option if I want to get him for his 80 score every second week. And then, yeah, Walsh versus GWS, probably not scared of that De Boer tag. So, yeah, I think Jelly looks really good if you do have him. Maybe VC him into Merritt or Titch. But, yeah, I guess if you do have the Dogs boys, it's probably hard to not go them on the Friday night, although it is Geelong in Geelong. But, those two are in unreal form. So, yeah, if you have one of those VC and then, like you said, 110, are you lowering your mark this week to take the score?
Yeah, I don't really have a Gawn, Grundy, or most of my midfield's out, like Steele or Oliver as well. Not vice captaining Guthrie over, if he bloody plays anyway, over McRae. So I'll lock in a 110. Yep, I don't really have the better options.
Yep, JD?
Yeah, I don't like putting with captain. So I like in terms of where that score goes, right? Merritt and Walsh's averages about 111 and 114 or 15. And so if you get a VC score that eclipses their average, I'm usually happy to lock it in unless there's some no-brainer reason why they would score well above their average. So I do think if you don't have a Josh Kelly, for example, or even maybe a Took Miller or a Parish or a Lyons, that I think, a 120 VC from Bont or McRae would be a very good score, and you'd lock that in. So I think that does come down, but any of the ones I mentioned or the ones you guys mentioned as captain options are all really good. I think just as it falls, we have less of those options, so we're going to be banking Dogs minutes, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think probably all VC McRae, I guess, because that's what we have. Now we'll touch on.
Bontempelli, sorry. Bontempelli.
So you're taking Bont or McRae?
I actually don't know. I'll have a look who's got better history. I'm not really worried about the O'Connor tag. I don't really think that's a real thing. Yeah, I think I'll probably put the VC on Bont.
A Bont tag isn't a real thing, so yeah.
Exactly.
Keep tagging Liver.
All right, so we got some questions from the SC Take Twitter, which we put out 5 minutes before the podcast. So we've got a few questions here from Lincoln Beggs. Always post on our stuff, so thanks, Lincoln. Is it too late to trade Grundy? I think it is. I would trade Oliver before Grundy because you're probably getting Grundy back, right? And then maybe you can get Oliver back, maybe not. I don't know. Just because Oliver's break even is 200, so you probably get Oliver back cheaper. But what do you boys think? Is it too late to trade Grundy?
I don't think it's too late, but I don't think it's smart. Yeah, because like you said, getting him back, and it's you got to have the trades to do it. Of course, if you have to do it 2 weeks ago. Let's be honest. To get the full potential of it. So doing it now doesn't really make much sense since he's, projected to be back next week. So yeah.
JD.
Yeah, I think. I didn't think it had to be 2 weeks ago. I think if you did it last week to either Zach Smith or Goldstein, it would have been fine as well, because you're still getting 2 games and arguably in the more important rounds. But I have a feeling if you haven't done it by then, it probably doesn't make sense to do it now. It probably also doesn't make sense to sideways Oliver either. This is just us getting really desperate to try and find creative ways to finish our teams. I'm pretty sure the right answer for all these is just to hold and wear a slightly lower score this week.
Yep. Sean O'Sullivan, do we wait for Neil or go now? Also, is Hawkins a genuine F5 option? So Neil this week, I'm a no. JD, you're a yes, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm a yes. Obviously, I don't expect him to hit his break even of 160, but if you've still got other trades to do, then yeah, I think it makes sense to bring him in. If he's going to come back and play good, you'd expect him to put up a decent score against North. Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, because effectively, if you don't get him this week, next week he plays Geelong. You're really picking him for that matchup. So that means if you're not getting him this week, you're waiting 2 weeks.
I don't mind the matchup. Oh, so you mean like O'Connor tag him again?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, true. Just go Josh Kelly or something.
Yeah, I think you get a look at him with that break even, so it's probably better to do it that way. But yeah, I think if you have other upgrades to do, like a forward one, I'd probably prefer to do that, like at Langford or whatever off their bye, because you get the look at Neil and he won't rise too much. So that's probably my preferred option.
Yep. And his second question is, Hawkins is a genuine option. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mark Kenner asks, I don't have Walsh. Should I pick him or go Neil? I feel safer with Walsh. It's hard though because Neil's ceiling's so good, but I think we've touched on Neil already. If it's this week, it's Walsh. In 3 weeks, well, it could be Neil. But just need to see it. But it's just how you play. If you have faith that he'll just come good, I guess you can grab him now. Go Neil, but I need to see it. Simple as that. Are you guys the same? I know.
Yeah, I think it's Walsh for me. That's tough. That's really close for me. If cash is a factor, then Walsh is a little bit cheaper, 20k or so. So go him, but I actually don't mind Neil.
Yeah, I've spoke about Neil enough, but yeah. Madden JS this week from Gator. Sad. I think he's going to play.
Hopefully it's 0%.
I guess if you believe hard enough, maybe. But we'll see. Should I sideways short to Stewart from the Flagger? Oh, that's a tough one. If you have the money sitting there and it's not going to affect an upgrade, I think you do.
Yeah, if you've got trades available, then yes. It's like 60,000. He's going to outscore him, and you get points this week. But yeah, once again, I don't think there's many that are in that luxury trade situation. But if you're one of the few, then yes, I would definitely do it sideways.
Yep.
Yeah, it's easy. him or May or whatever to get Stewart, then yeah, I would.
It's hard to split Short and May. I feel like they're going to average similar. But yeah. So Harvey Burke asks, should I go Impey to Langford or Green or Taranto? Oh, this is a long question. This is a weird one. So Impey to Langford or Green is fine. I wouldn't bother getting Taranto at this point.
Yeah, if it's one or the other, do the Impey trade, I think.
Yeah.
Taranto can be fine as your M8.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I see. He was talking about trading out Taranto.
Yeah, he's sidewaysing either of them, yep.
Oh, okay. I see what he means. Yeah.
So would you rather sideways Impey
sideways
or
Impey
Taranto?
Taranto, righto.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd rather sideways Impey.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
He has 8 trades left as well, so he might be able to trade both. So see how he goes. Sam Cullen asks, will Ned Reeves play this weekend? Let me just call Alistair Clarkson. Well, I find it hard to believe he does. I have Zach Smith, so I am mega screwed if he plays.
How's the timing? Segler pick of the year last year, coming in and dominating.
Oh no.
Look, I read there was a quote. Honeyballs, he's good follow with updates. Hawthorn's physical performance manager, Luke Boyd. Ned has been able to recover quite well since then. He was able to join in skill session today, and he's a chance to be right for this weekend's game. So, like with that language, it sounds like they want him. But again, he's a performance manager, not the coach. So, yeah, I think we're all praying, but we'll see.
Are we? You are.
What do you mean?
Have Zach Smith.
Okay. I forgot about that.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Just wait till Thursday. Shouldn't be too hard. JD, this one's for you. Please give George some heat if he stays with the little Toby Green pick.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess the heat probably is somewhat warranted in the sense that it goes against a lot of your philosophy, and you've hated on Toby Green for so long.
As a starting pick,
yeah,
I
I do think like this is an important part of like Supercoach methodology, which is when you're getting to your team being finished, you can take in injury risk players a little bit more freely, because the biggest problem with injury risk players is them going down during upgrade season. That's where you really bleed and lose a lot of points by having to stop upgrading to sideways or one of these like fallen or like one of these injured premiums. So once you're at the end and you've got these 2 or 3 injury trades just to sideways someone like Toby Green if they do cop an injury, like I don't think the risk is nearly as bad. So like yes, it's he's usually someone that you'd never see in a George team, but I think once you're down to the final couple upgrades, someone like that's fine. So he's not getting Heaney heat this week. I'll give you that, but
yeah, I agree.
You were right to flame me the other week about Heaney. You should have gone harder. I nearly did it, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's it. So thanks for the questions. I think maybe next time we'll post questions out a little bit earlier. But yeah, that was good to get a few in. Yeah, good luck, boys, this week. It's going to be a lot of movement in the ranks. Fingers crossed Babs can stay first or at least be in touch there and take home 50K, because I think he's shouting us a trip to somewhere. I don't know. We'll see.
He just told me he's getting Cunnington now, by the way. So yeah, I'm kidding. Maybe I'm not.
Is he? Are you though? Maybe.
No,
I don't know.
Who knows? Shouting's a trip. I mean, that'd be unreal. I don't think any of us deserve it, but nah. Yeah. Good luck to him. Hopefully, he doesn't bleed too much this week.
I may have made
number one.
But yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks again, JD.
Thanks, homie boys.
Pleasure as always, and thank you, Anno.
No worries, George. I'll look forward to doing this with JD next week. You can have your week off.
I'll give you guys my YouTube account, I reckon. You guys can
Nah, it should be all right.
No,
we'll be fine.
I know we should wrap it up by now, but I'm just thinking, what can I do this weekend to get away? I might put the phone somewhere, like lock it under my bed or something, then just go to the mountains for a bit.
There's not even many games. Only 5 games. It's sort of going to be a bit boring anyway. I don't know. There's one good game Friday night. I know you'll be watching that, and then see what happens after that. If Bonk goes large again, maybe that's just.
No, I'm not going to watch that. I'll log out of Discord for 3 days and then come back. Oh, how do we all go, boys?
Okay.
Anyway, that's enough on me. Pleasure as always, boys, and see you guys next week.